Nolan McLean is the talk of the baseball world, but Jonathan right behind him. We'll talk some Mets baseball. We are contractually obligated to talk about Anthony Volpe, apparently, on this podcast. The Jets released some new uniforms, and the general manager had some interesting comments about Justin Fields. All of that, the focus of the NY Sports Index here today. That is Jaime Eisner. I am Chris Schubert here with you talking all things New York sports. Jamie, it is a Friday, and the next time we do this pod, it will be the Monday episode, the week of NFL football.
It's crazy. It's crazy how quickly we go from there being relatively little in the sports world. In July, it's baseball. And now it's picking up. We're recording this on Thursday night. There's 11 college football games tonight. There's even more on Friday as you're listening to this. There's obviously a full slate Saturday, college games Sunday, college games Monday, NFL games 6 days from when you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast. Here we are. And by the way, pennant races. Yeah. We're gonna start seeing little things about camp for the Rangers and Islanders, for the Knicks. It picks up real quickly. Once summer ends, it feels like it just snowballs into just the amazing level of sports. And I think a lot of people consider the month of October, we're not quite there yet, but the month of October is considered by many to be the best sports month because you got the MLB playoffs, NFL and college football are fully going, hockey and basketball have started back up. We're almost there, man. We're almost there.
It's also the best weather, right, of the calendar year on the East Coast. Yeah. There's nothing better than an October fall. And trust me, we're not going to be lost for topics starting Monday with football and baseball and everything that's going on. You want to start with the Mets and Nolan McLean and Jonathan?
Yeah. So I want to start with McLean. Obviously, he pitched on Wednesday and has now given up, two earned runs in his 20 and a third innings pitched so far. The movement on his breaking stuff is scary. He's got some scary stuff, and I know it's Jacob Misiorowski in Milwaukee has got a lot of that attention and quite frankly earned himself what I think was an undeserved all-star nod. We didn't have the show at the time, but You and I talked about that based on some of his filthy stuff, and obviously he also has a level of velocity he throws at that McLean hasn't quite gotten to yet. But how can you not be impressed? And for those of you that haven't had a chance, maybe if you're not Mets fans, if you're Yankees fans listening to this, he's actually the classic type of pitcher that the Yankees tend to like, the sweeper, sinker, curve primary guy. And it is really fun to watch him throw right now. And he was dominant in that start on Wednesday. And I know you and I talked a little bit about how far they were going to let him go in the game. Economical with his pitches, faced a good lineup, and looked really good. I know it's 3 starts, and you try not to get freaked out with small sample sizes, but I don't know how you cannot be super encouraged by Nolan McLean right now.
Well, and yes, it's 3 starts, and it is the definition of small sample size theater that we talk about on this show.
Timeout.
You're hitting me with a timeout.
I know this is not.
You're using one of your 3. You're using one of your 3.
Yeah, we have monster breaking news. Breaking news. From that's going to be relevant. Yeah, you just saw what it was.
I saw the news, yes.
So we're going to talk about this a little bit, then we'll go back to it. I know it's not New York, but it does affect a New York team. Micah Parsons just got traded. Obviously, you're going to know this by the time you listen to this podcast, but you'll get some analysis from us. Micah Parsons just got traded to the Packers, and he then agreed to a 4-year, $188 million deal, which actually is less money than I thought he would get, to be honest with you. I thought he would get close to 200.
It's $47 million per year. That surpasses the APY of Patrick Mahomes, just to put it in its proper context. Shout out to Ian Rappaport for that little nugget. As we record this show, we have not seen the return yet on the deal. I am quite frankly floored that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys decided to do this, because I don't think they're going to get a return that's going to match what Micah Parsons is. I mean, to just quote my favorite scene from the show Family Guy, when they have the boat and he's offered the mystery box, and he said, well, the mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat. Yeah. You just traded Micah Parsons, in this example, the boat, and you're hoping that the mystery box, whatever you get back, can end up being Micah Parsons. And I hate to be so brash about this. I hate to go to this place, but Jerry Jones, he's not a young chicken. And there's not...
He is not.
there's not a lot of runway left for him to try to win, and Micah Parsons being off the Cowboys vastly diminishes their ability to win a championship. This makes no sense.
Yeah, and I think you can. I mean, he was their best player, and I don't think that's hyperbolic to say.
Jimmy, he's a top 5 player in the sport.
Correct. So, like, my initial reaction is, and obviously to look at this for a New York lens, my initial reaction is, I think a lot of people have penciled the New York Giants into last place in the NFC East, and I would argue right now, I would take a shot on the Giants to have a better team right now than Dallas Cowboys.
Good thing you only put it in pencil and you didn't write it in, let's say, like Sharpie or something, because I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think the door's wide open. You have a middle...
You stick these two rosters up against each other right now, and you tell me that the Giants can't be a better team than the Dallas Cowboys.
You have a middle-of-the-road quarterback. It's just my opinion. You have a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Offensively, there's a lot of question marks on what you're going to be able to do outside of getting the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Defensively, the one thing you had was Micah Parsons being an absolute game wrecker. And let's face it, Jamie, you have a coach that not everybody is super sold on. And now, with Micah out the door, there's going to be a lot of people ready to jump Schottenheimer the moment this team screws up. So I do not get this. Unless this is going to be like 6 first-round picks, and I don't even think that's possible. This trade's not going to make any sense.
We don't know. You're going to know, obviously, those of you that are listening are knowing the return right now, and odds are we'll probably find out sometime during this recording. I imagine this is going to start at 2-1s plus, and we'll see what goes from there. Again, I think it'll look probably very similar to the Khalil Mack deal. I think that's been what's obviously everybody has been talking about, the Khalil Mack from the Raiders to the Bears deal. What was that, 2018? I think we'll see something very similar, and that was 2-1s and then 2 middle round picks as well, and there were some pick returns. But man, you rarely get a chance to draft and develop a player of the caliber of Micah Parsons. To not keep him around is odd to me. And this is a team that has, again, you traded for Pickens. You paid Dak, you paid CeeDee Lamb. You've really made the commitment, whether you're Super Bowl contenders or not, I don't think they are, but they believe they are and they're trying. To not be able to get this deal done when we have known how long that they've needed to get this deal done is shocking to me. And I don't get it, but if I'm a Giants fan or an Eagles fan or a Commanders fan, I'm ecstatic because to me, it became much, much easier to play against the Dallas Cowboys this year. And obviously, I'm sure the Eagles are licking their chops right now. They got the first crack at them on Thursday Night Football to open up the season. They were already, I'm going to see what the lines have changed. They were 7-point favorites.
Oh, it's
when there was some question about whether or not Micah Parsons would play.
My guess is 9.5.
No, it's up to 8 now.
Okay.
It could continue to rise. Obviously, people are going to keep betting it, but I mean that moved the line significantly. I'm stunned. I really thought, and I'm not going to read Micah Parsons' statement here. If you want to read it, he released. It's like too many. It's like 5 paragraphs.
He put out a video as well that I saw.
Of course, he did. I really want to see what. I just want to know what the return is. I'm just kind of shocked that they did this because I honestly thought this entire time that they were going to, what they've kind of done with everybody is drag this to the very last second and then finally get a deal done.
Well, you have 2 more timeouts that you can use throughout the course of the program. So, by the way, excellent use of your timeouts. I mean, I think there would be some people critical of my usage of timeouts so far in the show. The first usage for you is Micah Parsons getting traded. You've set the bar really high now for what warrants.
Yeah, well, because I was looking down to actually talk about Nolan McLean a little bit more, and then I got a text that just says "Holy, you know what?"
Sure, you could say it.
So
I'll just put
I have
the
to
tag.
click. Like you have to click on that text message that comes in that says that, right? And then I saw the tweet, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
With all due respect to Nolan McLean,
fair
he
enough.
is not quite Micah
enough.
Parsons yet.
So you can you know what? I won't even count it against you as a timeout if you want to update us later in the show when we get the return from Micah Parsons. I won't even count it. You can just tell me that you have it. But getting us back on track, and we could talk about Nolan McLean here. What was I saying before you interrupted me with the timeout? I don't even remember.
I don't
what
even
was
remember.
Even
I know we
saying.
were talking about McLean. I know we were talking about him going through the lineup. And I think we initially were talking about how long he was going to stay in the game. I think that's when we were talking about where there was some question about whether or not he was going to go back out for the 8th or not. And then I kind of messed everything up with the Micah Parsons news.
No, my memory was jogged. I was talking about how it was only a 3-start sample size and how, you kind of want to temper your expectations moving forward, but when you see graphics that show that Nolan McLean has had a better first 3 starts than Jacob deGrom, Dwight Gooden, and Tom Seaver, like, I'm going to allow anybody to be excited about that. Like, of course, get excited about what Nolan McLean has done through his first 3 starts. And the reason why I think it's okay to get excited about what McLean has done is not just because of the results, but he just hasn't seemed to waver under any level of pressure, right?
Yeah.
Think about the context around all 3 of his starts. The first start of his career he makes against Seattle, the team is absolutely falling apart pitching-wise. The team is an absolute mess. They can't get a starter other than David Peterson to the 5th inning, let alone into the 6th inning. And he makes a home start, and he dominates against Seattle in 5 1/3, and the adrenaline leads to the 4 walks. His second start, he goes into Citi Field was a house of horrors for Philly this week, but Truist Park and Atlanta in general has been a house of horrors for the Mets since I've been alive. I just turned 31. Yeah. It's been a problem. He goes in there, and he throws 7 innings on, do we consider Apple TV national television? On national TV.
That's a great question.
Does that
I'm going
count?
to derail us. I'm going to use my second timeout. It's not on Micah Parsons because I want to derail us on this conversation for a second. Because
you know what? A great balance of the timeout usage. Something important and something not important at all.
Because this is something I've thought about a lot. Of like for those of you that have played the new like college football game, there's an element inside of Dynasty where if you play like the national game of the week as that's decided, it kind of helps with the brand exposure grade, blah, blah, blah. So it got me thinking, what is national TV these days? Because I think it's obvious to say if you're playing on Sunday Night Baseball, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, things of that nature, a TNT basketball, that sort of a thing. Well, previously TNT basketball.
Peacock basketball.
But what is, like, if inside the NBA predated your game, you were playing on national TV. Big Noon Saturday, blah, blah, blah. But what is national TV now? Do you consider, ESPN is going to own everything soon. Like, if it's not on ESPN proper, is it national TV? Is Apple TV national TV? Is Peacock national TV? Stuff that's streamed like to HBO Max at national TV. Like, what is national TV? If it's on ESPN2, does that count as national TV? If there's also something on ESPN1, what is national TV now?
This is tough because this only applies for 3 of the 4 sports, but I think this is going to be my line of demarcation because this works for hockey, it works for baseball, and it works for basketball. If the game is being played and it is not your home announcers calling the game, that is a nationally televised game.
Okay.
Is that a fair rule?
I think that's fair.
I think that's a fair starting point, right? Maybe we can get into some edge cases and some nuances, but I think in general, if in order to watch the game, I can no longer hear Gary, Keith, and Ron call it, then it's not a nationally televised game. Perfect example. The Tuesday game of this series with Philly was on TBS. Didn't watch it on TBS. I watched it on SNY. So to me, not a nationally televised game because I got to listen to it. But it was to everybody else who doesn't live in the New York area and or has SNY or MLB TV, right?
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because I think we have to the element of television has changed so much. Quite frankly, we play Thursday Night Football on Amazon. We're putting WWE pay-per-views on ESPN. Like the entire way that we've thought about the national TV model, the cable TV model, the pay-per-view TV model has changed so much. So sorry about that. We'll get back to sports here.
This is the second time that Nolan McLean has seen his segment get derailed here on the index. But
I'm sure we'll be talking about Nolan McLean plenty.
I think
great. He'll be okay.
And the context around all 3 of his starts have been really good. And then the third start was against a Phillies team that, you're trying to draw closer back into this division. And now, instead of being 7 games back, you swept them. You're 4 games back. You have the tiebreaker in your back pocket. Mm-hmm. So if you're tied with them at the end of the season, you don't have to pass them in the standings. You just have to have the same record as them as the end of the year, and you're 2025 NL East champ. So it was just a great week for the Mets. Nolan McLean's been absolutely outstanding. And the extension of this is that's going to continue. You're listening to this podcast on Friday. Tonight, Jonah Tong makes his MLB debut, and the Mets are just pitching prospect after pitching prospect making their debuts for this Mets team. And there's almost an argument that Jonah Tong is more exciting of a prospect than Nolan McLean, as hard as that is to fathom now with what McLean has done at the major league level. But Tong is somebody who has struck out 179 batters over the course of 113 minor league innings this year. He's been excellent in both AA and AAA, and they called him up from AA, Jamie, and he just made a handful of starts in AAA, and they didn't have a choice. He was dominating there as well, and they're like, and this is so sad to say, but they can't keep running out Kodai Senga if they want to try to win the division. Like Kodai Senga right now is not a playoff starter for the New York Mets. He would not start a game 1, 2, or 3 in a wild card round. Wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and so far, obviously, down in Binghamton, 20 starts, 1.59 ERA, and is not allowed an earned run in his 2 starts in Syracuse. So, Senga's up this weekend, right? His spot in the rotation?
So, the Mets are in the middle of a stretch where they're playing 15 straight days. So, they needed a 6th starter. They did not go to the 6th starter on Monday. They let Senga make that start. And so, the idea was they were going to do this here. They're going to have to make a roster move for Tom. There is this idea that it could be Kodai Senga being sent down because he has minor league options to give him a chance to reset at the minor league level. They do have to, but he is technically, if you look at FanGraphs projected starters, he's scheduled to go on Sunday.
Yes, so on the Mets official site right now, which again can't change, the probable starters for the non-today, which is obviously Clay Holmes on the mound, is Jonah Tong Friday.
Yesterday when you're listening to this, but today when we're recording it.
Yeah. Jonah Tong today, as you're listening, against the Marlins. Peterson Saturday, Senga Sunday is what it shows right now. So
yeah, but they have Tong listed as the projected starter, and he's not technically, as we're recording,
on the
roster,
member
of the roster. So they do have to make a move in order to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's just super exciting to see. He's been dominating in AA and made a couple starts in AAA, and just the Mets were left with no choice because of how well he pitched in the minors, but also the state of Sean Manaea and Kodai Senga just leaving the door open for the Mets not wanting to allow 2025 to go to waste. Like, they have a chance here with the way that they're playing to get into the postseason. They now have a chance to try to win the NL East, and you get into the dance, who knows what will happen, right?
Especially these days, like the expanded playoff. I mean, I hate to use these one-offs as examples all the time because I feel like just because something happens once, but I'm never going to get that Rangers D-backs World Series out of my head of the anything is possible with these expanded playoffs. Like, those 2 teams were not good. For playoff caliber teams, they were not good coming into the postseason and got hot.
So a lot of excitement around the Mets right now. Before we get into the Yankees, we are starting to get little dribbles of the Micah Parsons. I'm
glad you're doing this. I didn't want to wait. Oh, okay. I see the player now.
So
did you see the player?
I did see the player. That's why I'm bringing it up. It is 2 first-round picks at least, according to Adam Schefter. Again, as we're recording this, the trade package includes 2 first-round picks and a frontline player. That frontline player is Kenny Clark.
Okay.
So Kenny Clark's first.
Kenny Clark's a very good player.
Still a bad trade.
Oh, well, correct. But Kenny Clark's a very good player. He will be an asset to that defensive line. The Cowboys have really needed to shore up their interior defensive line, so he will be a piece there. 2 first-round picks is nice. I would still rather have Micah Parsons.
So Jamie, they had a hole on their interior, and they filled that with Kenny Clark. How are they going to fill the hole that is now vacated by Micah Parsons on the edge?
They will not.
That's the point. Like great, you filled another hole that you had on the interior defensive line. You just traded Micah Parsons, man.
Yeah. I mean, you're right now running what, Dante Fowler, Marshawn Nealand type. I mean, those are your primary pass rushers. I mean, you took spend around the 2nd round pick on Donovan Ezeraku, but I mean, if I'm the Packers, I do that all day.
Oh, no doubt. I would do 2 firsts and Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons any day of the week. So, listen, this changes the landscape, I think, of the NFC East, and I think it opens the door for the Giants to not finish in the cellar, legitimately. I mean,
I think the Cowboys are the worst team in the NFC East now. I'm just gonna say it. I think the Cowboys are the. You're gonna clip this up for YouTube Shorts, so hello everybody. But I think the Cowboys are the worst team in the NFC East right now, and it's very unfortunate that this has come to this. But Micah Parsons is not a player you should trade, and there's not a 2 first-round picks is not a good enough of a return here. So, I mean, I know nobody has sympathy for them, and I understand, but I do feel a little bad for Cowboys fans, just a little bit, because this sucks. Losing a true franchise player like this over your owner's hubris is mind-bogglingly annoying.
Yeah,
and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, and this is only the first time it's happened to Dallas in recent memory.
No, he and Luke are the same age, weren't they? When they get on the trade days, I think they're the same age.
I mean, that's the joke, right?
26.
Tough being a Dallas sports fan right now with Luka and Micah both leaving.
Yeah,
within 6 months of each other.
Oh, and I think Corey Seager's hurt today too. So it's a bad day.
Just
for
a bad
Texas
day
sports.
for Texas sports. Speaking of bad days, you know who it's been a bad day for recently? Because, again, we're contractually obligated to speak about this player.
Oh, you know what? We don't have ads yet, but I felt like that was you were starting an ad spot there. Like this was going to be some CBD ad.
No, we have to talk about
Although if somebody wants wants us to talk about their CBD product, please do so.
We have to talk about Anthony Volpe, apparently.
You
did this. I just want to make it. I want to make it very clear to the listeners of the program. We both contribute to the rundown. I wasn't going to do this today. I wasn't going to, for the third straight episode, talk about Anthony Volpe.
Here's why, and I don't want to pile on.
Well, we've done 3 episodes. We're doing it for 3 straight episodes. So this is the definition of piling on.
But when you see something, and I'm pulling it up right now, I don't know if you can pull it up on the screen, Chris, for those that are watching us on the YouTube.
You want the Katie Sharp tweet?
Yeah, the Katie Sharp tweet. Because I feel like when something like this happens, and by the way, you're going to see something, it's a stat by the Yankees. It's a Yankees franchise-specific stat. And I will preface this by saying this is the 123rd season of Yankees baseball. This is not a Rays stat. It's not a D-backs stat. It's not any of that. This is the New York Yankees, who have been playing baseball for a very long time. So when you see a stat that gets brought up of something that has not been done by a Yankees non-pitcher ever, it gets your attention. And it's up there right now. Anthony Volpe has a 0.27 OBP over his last 11 games. Again, this is heading into, I do not know if he's going to play tonight against the White Sox or not yet. The lineups are not out. But this is heading into the White Sox series that starts on Thursday night. 0.27 OBP over his last 11 games, 38 plate appearances, 1 hit, no walks. That is the lowest OBP by a Yankee non-pitcher in any 11-game span. Minimum 30 plate appearances. Again, the 123rd season of Yankees baseball. And again, so mostly just wanted to bring up that stat because whenever you see, whether it's a Yankees good record or a Yankees bad record, you got to pay attention because that franchise has had some awesome players and they've been around a very long time. Like I said, I don't know what more there is to say about Anthony Volpe that we haven't said already and that we're not going to say all winter long when we have the conversation about what the Yankees do with shortstop in 2026 and beyond. But I don't know, man. I don't get it. And I don't get what's going on. I don't get why look, the bat has been a problem since he got called up. And I don't think that's ever coming along again. He's had enough at bats now when it's not getting better. The fielding has been the worst by far it's been. I don't know what his future is. Like if you told me right now that he's going to be on the roster, but I mean if you told me right now he's not the everyday starting shortstop next year, I'd buy it. I don't know who that's going to be, but I don't know if you can go out there and say you have true World Series aspirations and continue to roll them out there next season, but we'll see.
I don't think he's playable right now. I mean, there's just not a world where you can put him in the lineup and say you're putting your best foot forward when, let's face it, you're battling for a wild card spot right now. Like nothing is guaranteed for the Yankees. You can't roll out a guy that had that number that we showed on the video. Like I don't know what's wrong with him. My guess is it's 85% mental at this point. It has just been day after day of this conversation not going away. And you know what? This is not the first time we've said this on the show. Shame on the Yankees. Like the Yankees dug this hole because of the way they chose to handle this. I don't think Anthony Volpe wants to be trotted out there every single day to continue to make mistakes, to continue to not hit, and have the team defend him the way that they're defending him. Like even a player that needs to be protected and coddled doesn't probably want that. Like it just set him up for failure.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, they have increased the spotlight on him and his struggles by pretending they don't exist. So they're not pretending. We can't pretend anymore, but I don't know why they thought this strategy would work. Because I feel like it's angered the fan base. It hasn't helped Anthony Volpe. There's been no winners in this situation. So again, I didn't want to pile on, but like that's a wow stat that I think we would be remiss if we didn't at least bring up on the show.
You want to talk some Jets football, and you want to specifically talk Jets jerseys?
I kind of do. I'm underwhelmed. I don't dislike.
These are great.
I don't dislike them. I'm underwhelmed by so far everybody that wasn't like Arizona, or there was one other one I thought was really good. Seattle.
I'm not allowed to say this as the Jets guy.
Oh, you like the Buffalo Snow
I thought
one?
Buffaloes were good.
They're not bad. I mean, they're all white jerseys. I mean, they're
New England's were fine too.
Yeah, they're fine. Like, I don't think they're bad. I'm not criticizing them.
Not good.
Yeah, I don't like Miami's ones. I also don't know when they can't wear them for the first. Again, I think these teams are only wearing these one game, by the way. So it's not like that big of a deal. But I guess they'll take your money.
Come on, look at those.
These are fine. They're perfectly fine. They're perfectly fine. Are you going to buy one? That's the test for me, Chris. Will you spend when the next time you purchase a Jets jersey? Will you open your pocketbook? And purchase one of those? Or will you choose a different style of Jets jersey?
You're going to send us down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
I only own one Jets jersey.
Okay, can I guess whose it is?
Sure.
Can I get one hint? And the one hint I'm going to ask you is it's somebody that has played for the Jets in the last 25 years.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so it's Joe.
It's a Joe Namath jersey, yes,
okay.
Of course.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was like, I'm trying to think of who else you would have, maybe Quinnen Williams, maybe you would have liked, or...
I like Q, and I would get a Q jersey. I always have to wait until the second contract comes, right? That's really the bar to clear. Like, I never...
Yeah, in case you got a Micah Parsons Dallas jersey.
Well, that's fair. You know how I felt about Zach Wilson. I never got a Zach jersey. I never had that. I never had that jersey. I wait, because this Jets franchise has taught me over and over and over again that even if a player is good for 1 year, that's not sustainable. So
what about Garrett Wilson?
I was just about to get to that. That Sauce and Garrett... certainly getting to the second contract, feel like they're going to be here for a long time. It does feel like I could get one of those. So if I was going to get a next Jet jersey, it would be this jersey for either Sauce or Garrett, and it would probably be a Sauce, because you know how much I love Sauce pre-draft that year.
Correct.
Like Sauce,
yes,
had a soft spot in my heart before he was a Jet.
You were so excited sitting next to me when you saw that Ahmad Gardner was the pick for the Jets at 4.
Trying to produce a live draft show, and I'm jumping out of my chair because Sauce Gardner's the Jet. So these jerseys were good, but that's not really the Jet story that we want to talk about. I want to talk about the comments from the general manager of the team, because he made some comments, and I cannot wait for you to weigh in on this, because I think we're going to feel differently about this. He made some comments about the quarterback of the New York Jets, Justin Fields, and he said that there's no reason why Justin can't follow in the footsteps of Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield in getting to another spot, or stop number 3 or 4 in their career and finding that success.
I mean, that's what he's supposed to say, isn't it? I mean, if he didn't believe that, I would have strong concerns about why he is their only plan at quarterback this year. Do I think it's possible? Sure, it's possible. Do I think it's likely? No, because I think Baker Mayfield had what he was able to do in Tampa was monumentally greater than anything we've seen from Justin Fields. Do I think that Justin Fields can turn himself into a league average starter? Yeah, I think that upside's still there. And we talked on our last episode about what he needs to do, particularly as a thrower, avoiding turnovers, things of that nature. Do I think inside of that offense, a run-heavy offense that utilizes his legs, RPOs to a higher extent than league average, things of that nature, do I think he can do that and become a league average quarterback? I do. I do think that upside is there. I was a fan of his at Ohio State. I'm a fan of his now. Will he get to the level that Baker Mayfield got to recently? No. I don't think so. I don't think he's polished enough as a passer. I don't think he's a polished enough decision maker. I don't think he has that same FU attitude that Baker Mayfield has, to his strength and his detriment at times. But yeah, do I think he can be the best he's been so far in his career? I do think that upside is there in New York in this offense. Would I expect him to turn into a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Not going to do that.
All right, well, then we agree more than I thought. I thought you were going to be strongly against these comments from Mooj. I look at the two examples that he cited. that being Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And I think about what allowed Sam to be successful last year in Minnesota and what allowed Baker to be successful when he got to Tampa after stops in Carolina and L.A. and everything that went on in Cleveland. And it boils down to one thing for me that I think also applies here for Fields, at least in the way everybody has been talking about not only Fields but the offense at large. Those coaches and those systems let those players be themselves and didn't ask them to be anything more than what they are capable of being. Sam Darnold didn't go to Minnesota and all of a sudden become an MVP candidate because he figured it out. Kevin O'Connell was the coach that built an offensive system to maximize what Sam Darnold did well, what allowed him to be a former first-round pick. Baker Mayfield gets to Tampa. What allowed Baker to have these productive years in Tampa? A coach that stopped trying to fit him into a box of the way their offense was going to run and instead crafted an offense around Baker Mayfield. That's exactly what the Jets are doing for Justin Fields. And I'll be honest, Jamie, I don't think Chicago ever did it. I don't think Pittsburgh did it. I don't think they built an offense for Justin Fields. They asked Justin Fields to fit their offense. And that, to me, is not what you need to do with a player like Fields in general, but specifically when you are a player that's on stop 3, 4, 5. You want to get the most out of him over the next 2 seasons, you have to basically tailor what you're doing to him. That's the only way he's going to reach his ceiling. To your point, do I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback at any point in his career? No, I don't think so. But for him to even flirt with what his ceiling and potential was as a player that was drafted in the first round, you need to have a coaching staff that's willing to say, you know what? We're going to build this for you. We're not going to be stubborn and make you fit us. We're going to fit you. And I've been shouting this from the rooftops all offseason long. I think this is the first time Justin Fields has actually had coaches that believe in him and are building an offense around him and for him. And I think he's best set up for success now. So if there's ever a chance for it to happen for Fields, as weirdly as this sounds, I think the Jets are the right place for that to happen.
Yeah, I think they're setting him up to be in a decent spot. We'll see how the actual offense looks once we get into the season, and we'll have a better analysis of this as we start to see what this team looks like, and we can kind of see the film on how they operate with Justin Fields. But we'll see. I would say temper expectations because, quite frankly, I mean, look, Sam Darnold had a great year last year before Week 18, but that might have been it. Like, I'm not necessarily convinced that Sam Darnold is going to be anything to write home about in Seattle this year. And that might be a one-year wonder. Obviously, Baker's had a couple years now. Obviously, last year was great, but he's had a couple years now of being really successful. I just think if Justin Fields can turn himself into an average-ish starter in the way that he's going to be, his passing numbers are not going to look like the 15th best quarterback in the league. That's just not how he's going to win. However, if the all-encompassing piece of what Justin Fields brings to an offense, I do think he has the upside to be a league average quarterback. And then if he does, it creates a really interesting situation for what the Jets' ceiling could be. But man, I don't know. I want to be optimistic. I like Justin Fields. I liked him coming out. I don't want to just clutch on to my priors. But there still is a lot that needs to be seen before I'm going to truly fully feel comfortable buying in with him as your starting quarterback.
And I just don't think you're going to, and I'm not talking about you when I make this analogy. I think this goes for the royal you. I think of people out there that think Fields is a bust or that Fields will never reach his potential. I don't know if the way the Jets are going to play football and what the Jets are going to ask Justin Fields to do is going to make people change their minds. Because I think Justin Fields is going to max out as a guy who throws maybe for 200 and 220 yards every game. Like a lot of the time he's going to throw 175, 180, 190, and the Jets are just going to nickel and dime their way to victory. But that's going to be exactly what they want to do. So in their mind, Justin Fields is going to be the perfect quarterback. Justin Fields is going to be doing everything that they want him to do. But from the outside, if he's not throwing for 300 yards, if he's not rushing for another $175 on the ground, if he's not throwing 42 touchdowns, it's going to be he's still a bust. He's still that guy that couldn't hack it in Chicago or in Pittsburgh. Whereas for the Jets, and I think Jets fans, and I'll speak for myself at large, if he's out there and he's throwing 200, 215 yards every game, a touchdown, no turnovers, and he's running the football well on the ground and he's keeping the offense on schedule, then Justin Fields is the perfect quarterback for the New York Jets. So there's just a difference in, I think, perspective that's going to happen throughout the year. So I don't think he's ever going to put up the numbers that people are going to go, oh, wow, he had the Baker-like turnaround. He had the Darnold-like turnaround. But do I think when you look at what those two guys did for their respective teams that Fields could do that for the Jets? I do. And I don't know if it happens in year one. If it does, it probably happens towards the tail end of the year. I do think there are going to be some struggles and growing pains in the early part of the season. But I don't know. I think I'm more bullish on Fields and what they're trying to do because I see a vision, I see a commitment to that vision, and I see them unwavering in that vision, and the way that they're talking just feels like they're going to see this to its conclusion.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we'll see how it ends up working out for him. Again, I'm very cautiously a little optimistic, but I just got to see it. Got to see it to believe it.
Final word in what is now going to be the shortest episode in the history of the NY Sports Index. Look at us going into the weekend. It's a Friday for us. We're like, we got to get out of here. We got stuff to do.
Yeah, I guess my final word is I had something prepared, and now it's just kind of all I can think about is the Micah Parsons deal. But I guess my final word is going to go back to that a little bit from the Giants' perspective, and I think they're in an interesting situation where, they're a few years obviously in advance, but there is a chance that a guy like Abdul Carter could be the next Micah Parsons. Obviously, there's connections there in terms of where they went to school, the position they play, all that other stuff. But there's a chance that he could be that player for them. And if he becomes anywhere near that dominant of a player, this kind of shows the importance of having ownership and front offices in lockstep to pay your players early. It's what the Eagles have done so successfully. It's what a lot of teams in the NFL have done successfully. That you don't put yourself in these situations where you are having very public contract disputes with your star players. I thought even Washington would play around with Terry McLaurin a little too long. They got that deal done. It got done. But that's a vital piece to their team for a team that believes they're a Super Bowl contender, that just had a great season, that has a young quarterback going into his second year. So this, I guess, is a tale for what could potentially happen if Abdul Carter does become that great player. Obviously, we've seen a reset now of the money in the edge market. We have a while before we have to worry about an Abdul Carter type of contract coming up. But this is another opportunity of highly drafted, highly regarded Penn State pass rusher goes to an NFC East team. If he has a similar career arc, obviously he's not going to start at off-ball linebacker like Parsons was playing a lot of as a rookie. If he has that sort of a run, you lock him up as soon as you possibly can, because otherwise you put yourself in these situations where, Dallas just lost their best player 7 days before the start of their season.
My final word, New York Mets related. This is what Steve Cohen was trying to build. No, not the $700 million salary given out to Juan Soto, not even the $300 million contract and trade that they made for Francisco Lindor, not being a top payroll team. Nolan McLean, Jonah Tong, and then next up it'll be Brandon Sproat, it will be Jet Williams, it will be Carson Bench. One of the most important things Steve Cohen said he was going to change about the New York Mets is that in order to be the Dodgers of the East, you needed to draft, develop, and get these players through the system to be able to build a young core. It's not about who spends the most money, although that certainly helps. It is about your developmental process. You taking a kid who was a two-way player at Oklahoma State, who was a reliever for that team, and turning him into one of the dominant young starters in this game, and is going to be a player that gets talked about all the rest of this season and could potentially start game 2, potentially game 1 of a playoff series for you. Jonah Tong, a top pitching prospect in all of the sport. Carson Bench, a player that you drafted in the first round of last year that is knocking on the door of being able to contribute for you in 2026. That is what Steve Cohen set out to do when he bought the New York Mets. And yeah, getting Juan Soto, trading for Francisco Lindor, having all that money to invest in the team certainly does help, but this is what he was trying to accomplish. This is why he ate the money for Justin Verlander and for Max Scherzer, because he understood the way you build a sustainable winner is with those young pieces. Nolan McLean started that kind of trajectory for this franchise. Jonah Tong tonight will be act number 2 of what's going to be a nice little parade here for the Mets here of young players helping them out. So that is my final word here today on the show. Please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts. If you want to watch the show, you can do so 2 places. Spotify, the video is also in there. You can also watch us on the NY Sports Index YouTube channel. We have some short-form content over there as well, but all of the episodes are uploaded over to that page as well as in the podcast feeds. We're back on Monday to get you ready for the start of football season. Our predictions series. We will go through the Jets and Giants. Probably will be a very football-themed episode of the show to start next week, as we will put our money where our mouth is. We will make our bold predictions, some stat predictions, all that for the Jets and the Giants starting on Monday.
And hopefully both our baseball teams will take care of business. Miami, White Sox, both our baseball teams are better than the teams they're facing. This should be a 3 or 4 weekend, right?
Yeah,
then we don't have to worry about it.
Do not make it to where on the Monday before week.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about you on Monday.
Exactly.
100%. I don't want to talk about you on Monday.
I do not want the Mets and Yankees to be the opening bell for Monday's show. That should be the goal for both teams this weekend. Do not make yourself the opening bell. Don't do it. Make yourself the final word or something later on, but the opening bell should be about football. But that's going to do it for us. Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Football week is right around the corner. Have a good one.